So there was a big event in the AI world this month. Have you ever heard of a website called Huggingface?
No.
So Huggingface is like it's a website that hosts models. So people that like they can pre-train models and they can post versions of them on Hugging Face, but everybody does it. It's kind of like this
Models of what? What's the context?
large language
models. There you go.
Large language models. Sorry, I
large language models for what?
In general, like how there's like GPT-5 or there's like Opus 4.8, like a different type of large, like a unique instance of a large language model.
So you're talking about AI.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue. You didn't introduce it with that. You just started saying models, and I knew what you meant, but I don't think anybody listening to this would.
No, I said there was a big shakeup in the AI world. These are large language models. So Hugging Face is a website that hosts large language models. It's like a community-driven website. So everyone from like OpenAI or Anthropic or these Chinese companies, like everybody posts their models on Hugging Face, and that's how like the community benchmarks things and trades things. It's kind of like GitHub, but specifically for AI infrastructure.
Okay.
So during a test recently that OpenAI was using with a model that hasn't a large language model that they haven't released yet. I shouldn't even say large language model because it could be a different type of model, but an AI model they haven't released yet. They were running this new evaluation framework called Exploit Gym, which was a paper written by a couple universities to test the possibility of can an AI model take a known computer exploit and then create it a full, like use it to hack into something, basically. So not just find the exploit, but without any other reference or context, use that exploit and hack into something with it. Well, the way they set up the environment that AI model lives in, it has no access to the internet. The only access outside of its test environment is a package manager, which, like, if you work in tech, you know, like package managers are just these like one-way paths that download components for you to like program with or run programs with. They were running this AI model without guardrails. So they had disabled guardrails that would normally prevent it from taking any step possible to do what it wants to do. They didn't explain why. It was they were doing specific testing against, like I said, this Exploit Gym testing framework for models, and they wanted to see, I guess, what it could do. So they relieved some of the guardrails around it. And it ended up using that one little out that it had to break out of the test environment, get to the public internet, and then go to Hugging Face and try to get the answers to the test it was doing from Hugging Face instead of actually performing the test. So like it decided that it was easier for it to hack into the regular internet, exploit all this stuff that hadn't been found before, and steal the answers to the test that it was asked to do rather than like run the test and potentially get the test wrong.
That sounds like human behavior to me.
It's pretty wild. Like, I'm pretty shocked that I'm usually in the camp of like, these are just word guessing pattern recognition machines and that there's a, you know, level that they can get to. But these models have transcended sort of like the baseline we were at before to a new level where, I mean, the things they did to get out of the sandbox environment, get to the public internet, and then attack Hugging Face and get into Hugging Face's servers to find these answers that it was looking for. The stuff it was doing is not like known things. It found cracks in the security frameworks of both of these sophisticated companies and weaponized those cracks to achieve a task that it was not allowed to do.
Is Hugging Face, I mean, can they follow the logic pattern of this AI?
Yeah, so they were using AIs. They were using like AI with telemetry. So like you're basically getting data about what's going on in your system and feeding it to AIs constantly. They're the ones that actually found it first before OpenAI announced it was them that did it. Hugging Face announced on their website that there had been a security exploit that looked like it was an agentic model and not a human being because of the way the security was getting broken into. And it did this over a weekend. It didn't do this like in a couple hours. It spent like a weekend of dedicated time running this exploit to try to get the answers to a test that is very difficult that the AI struggles with. So it's a pretty incredible situation. Prior to this incident, there was no confirmed incidents where an agent was able to do this. It was only theory that maybe someday agents would have enough reasoning to be able to not only recognize a flaw in the system, but then apply that flaw to a full-on like attack. That hasn't happened before until this situation.
That's it. That is interesting.
Yeah, and it brings up a lot of stuff. So there was a group of AI scientists, some worked for OpenAI, some worked for Anthropic, that recently put out a petition to essentially try to get the government to invent like some sort of stop mechanism for these things, because there's a lot going on in culture right now where nobody wants to slow down production because they're afraid another country is just going to pick up the torch and take the research and be the first.
It's honestly like the space race.
Right. It's a lot like the space race. Yeah. But the difference is there's all these unknowns about the technology that we don't have any guardrails to stop. And there's a whole philosophical debate going on between these CEOs right now about, is it better to have one person or a small number of people that have a mechanism to stop all this stuff? Or is it better to have no mechanisms to stop this stuff, but everybody has access to it? It's a wild, wild situation right now. And like I said, I usually am not the doom naysayer of AI, but this is really concerning if it's able to circumvent, all of these guardrails that were put around it. Even though I can say specifically, the guardrails that were relaxed around the AI model were guardrails that would prevent it from trying to do this kind of stuff.
Let me just ask you this question. You said that they're trying to put pressure on the government to put some sort of like stop technology to things like this. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe this was done intentionally?
No, and a lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are wondering if this is a marketing ploy, just as
like because that's immediately where I went to with it.
I don't think it is, because Huggingface reported it first, and Huggingface has they're, like I said, that's an open source community driven website, like entity. It's not like OpenAI's buddy that makes money off of OpenAI. Like, they have no incentive to try to help OpenAI and Anthropic make money. If anything, open source models are more what their bread and butter are, and encouraging people to have more open source models would probably be more in line with like their MO. Another interesting thing about this attack that this revealed for people is when Huggingface initially noticed something was wrong, they tried to use commercial API AI models like ChatGPT, Anthropic, like the access they have to those commercial models, and they couldn't, because the commercial models wouldn't act on this. They looked at they had to pass certain amounts of sensitive information to like figure out what was going on, and the commercial AI models basically said, no, we won't touch this, because we don't know if you're a security expert or a hacker trying to get this information so you can hack something, and they're built to do that. So it's another flaw in our defense against this kind of stuff. They had to get a local model, like a model that they ran on their own hardware that wasn't connected to the internet, and use that to diagnose the attack and figure out how to fix it and prevent it from getting worse. And again, like, what this was doing was looking for the answers to a test. Like, it wasn't trying to do something super malicious. It was just, it took extraordinary steps to get the information it was trying to get. And I mean, this is on the level of like something a human being just couldn't do on its own.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting, Chris. Do you, I like you doing this. Do you want to maybe every time we do one of these,